China just passed the new stimulus package.
Yes.
Could you tell us a little bit about how much money they put into energy and environment, and if you know how much they put into research in that subject? Because all of these global stimulus packages are constructed differently, but it would be interesting, I think, for us to understand what China did in this one particular field.
I'd be happy to. So last November, China passed or announced a stimulus package equaling 4 trillion renminbi, which is equivalent to about 600 billion, almost $600 billion U.S. It's a 2-year program. It spreads out over 10 sectors. And we have, there's a big discussion this week, actually. It's the annual meeting of the National People's Congress. So there's a big debate on whether or not it should be expanded. So we could be hearing from the Premier on Thursday when he announces the National People's Congress. He may actually expand the stimulus package. Almost all of this 4 trillion renminbi is for infrastructure construction, particularly railways, which as opposed to developing its highway system, which also gets a lot of funds but not that much, is good for, in general, for mass transit purposes, for reducing emissions from transportation. There is some concern that it's going to require greater manufacturing of steel and concrete to build out the railway system. 350 billion renminbi, or $50 billion, is earmarked for energy efficiency and environmental protection projects specifically, but I would argue that there is an opportunity here for China to spend a lot of the remaining parts of its stimulus package in a way that is going to promote sustainable development and reduce emissions. In particular, a lot of the money, 1 trillion renminbi, is going to go towards...
How much is that again?
Divide by 7. Will go towards reducing or rehabilitating the areas devastated by the earthquake. In other words, building. And if China puts environmental criteria on this building, it could go a long way in reducing its
Let me go to Mr. Roberts.
So recently a report issued by HSBC Global Research compared stimulus packages across many countries and looked at what percentage of the overall stimulus package was devoted to a low-carbon economy. And while it praised the United States for the efforts toward a green economy, it evaluated our package and determined about 12% of our package is going to a low-carbon economy. By contrast, about 38% of the Chinese stimulus package, by the same definition, is going toward a low-carbon economy. So it's much more oriented toward the things we're talking about.
So you're saying that 12% of 800 billion is going to a low-carbon economy, but 37% of 600 billion is going to a low-carbon economy?
According to the HSBC Global Research Study.
And who are they again?
HSBC is a global bank. It's a consumer bank out of London and has taken a keen interest in these issues because they're a consumer-based bank with branches throughout China and Europe and
Thank you.
the world.
And there's a measure on energy efficiency in China that caught my attention. It's the Top 1,000 program. Could any of you elaborate on that program, how it works and how effective it is? Mr. Helm or Ms. Fenimore?
I think that's the same one that she was referring to in her testimony, the energy efficiency program. And my recollection is the data, they wanted 4% a year, and in the first year they got like 1.2, but in the last 2 years, 2007, 2008, we're close. We were just under 4 in 2007 and over 4 in 2008. So well on track, and as Barbara indicated, this is 300 million tons a year, very significant.
Well, just as Mr. Helm said that we can reach a global climate initiative by focusing on just 5 or 6 developing countries, China has found that it can go a long way towards achieving its ambitious energy efficiency goals by focusing on just 1,000 factories. And that's what this Top 1,000 factory program is. Together, this 1,000 enterprises constitute 33%, 1/3 of national energy consumption, and nearly half of all its industrial energy consumption. They've targeted these plants. They've required every one of them to do an energy audit, hire energy managers. They have quotas, and they have apparently on track to achieve their quotas for each one of these 1,000 facilities.
Okay, can we move to Mexico? We heard the testimony here that they want to cut their emissions in half by 2050. Now, some people might doubt the effectiveness of the Mexican government, given what's going on with the drug cartels down there. And that'll be the first issue that people raise. What is the capacity for the government of Mexico to implement such a bold plan? Do any of you want to, speak to that issue? Mr. Helm.
Mexico's thing I cited in terms of the details, the minus 50 is their aspirational goal. The president's put that in. They're going to release their national climate strategy in the next month or so. And as part of that, they will have specific goals for specific sectors. And that's, I cited the 4 sectors: cement, steel, oil refining, and electricity. Importantly, we've looked at those sectors. Steel and cement are fairly efficient, more efficient than U.S. production, for example. The 2 other sectors, electricity and oil refining, are national companies, if you will. They're nationalized. They are incredibly inefficient. The oil refining, Pemex, is the worst scored refinery in the world compared to any of the other world oil refining companies. So, but the good news is these are nationally run agencies, so we have a good chance, I think, with the government being able to take this on. And President Calderon is very knowledgeable about climate. He was the energy secretary before he became president. He knows these agencies inside out, and he's got a real, he's brought them in, got a commitment from both of them to play and to really step up and do some things. And there's some huge opportunities. Example, there's 3,000 megawatts of cogeneration right there on the table today at these oil refineries and chemical plants they could do tomorrow. They haven't been able to do it because Mexican law basically says CFE, the utility, decides what they pay, like we used to do before you all passed the energy reform in 1992, decides what they pay. And of course, they pay nothing, and so nobody builds a cogeneration. So these things can be turned around. They're not costly. That's my point for Mr. Sensenbrenner. This isn't buckets of money. This is simple loans to get them over the top to capitalize the thing. So I'm optimistic. You're right. There are some real issues there. But I think there's a deep commitment at the president level, and he has the legal authority. We're not in a situation where he has to pass a new law. He has authority to move forward with these efforts.
Okay, my time has expired. I'd like to give Mr. Cleaver and Mr. Inslee time for additional questions if they're interested. Gentleman from Washington. Let me then come back. Mr. Roberts, did you want to make a point on Mexico?
I've been to Mexico 7 times this past year, and I would agree with the assessment that President Calderon is serious about climate change. Mario Molina, the Nobel Prize-winning scientist, is his advisor on these issues.
From Lexington, Massachusetts, in my district? That's great.
Mario Molina.
That's great.
And the business leaders in Mexico, most of the business leaders in Mexico are quite committed to this and moving their industries in the right direction. I think there's a real opportunity in Mexico. And you raise the president has his hands full addressing the drug cartels in Mexico, but at the same time, among the leaders in the world, I've seen him make a stronger commitment to this, a personal commitment to this than most. So,
remember that scene in Annie Hall where Woody Allen is listening to somebody critique a movie and Marshall McLuhan turns around to comment? Well, I had a session like that in my district in 1995, 1,500 people, and someone got up to, and I had it in Lexington, to critique, all of the analysis of ozone depletion and all that, and then this other man went over to the microphone and said, well, I won the Nobel Prize on that subject, and that's what can happen in Lexington when you're having a discussion on issues of this.